Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. The work of a farmer never stops, even during a pandemic. On a dairy farm, the cows still need to be milked on time every day. So last spring, when COVID-19 forced the University of Vermont to go to remote instruction, the question was how to care for the dairy cows at the UVM Miller farm. Not surprisingly, the university and its graduates had an answer, as Keith Silva learned for this report in June.
The cows who call the UVM Miller farm on Spear Street home may pause for the camera, but they don't stop for long. The same goes for the people who care for them.
We are out milking the cows twice a day, keeping them fed. The cows that are pregnant are still gonna birth, so that's what all the farms out here are doing. You can't just stop.
Except in this story, stopping is exactly what happened.
The University of Vermont is asking all of its students to leave town, even those who live off campus.
Students can leave town, cows can't. These cows are the responsibility of the Cooperative for Real Education and Agricultural Management, or CREAM. It's a 2-semester course in which UVM undergraduates run the farm. Without CREAM, this dairy farm isn't quite the same.
There certainly was never a missed milking or a missed feeding or a missed chore of any kind.
Stephen Wadsworth is a veterinarian at Northwest Veterinary Associates in St. Albans and the CREAM interim faculty advisor.
When the university essentially shut down, we had nobody to run the farm. So the students do all the labor. They are the labor force here. We were incredibly fortunate to have a group of students who had been working here in the past, who had been kind of graduates of the CREAM program, who stepped up and said, we can help. They didn't need any training, they already knew what needed to be done, and though they're being compensated, they were in effect volunteers. They volunteered to spend this last semester and into this through the summer. So it's actually been a very smooth transition.
CREAM is a program at UVM's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. In a normal year, CREAM employs 17 students. The work of 17 is now being done by less than half that, but the passion for the farm and the cows has more than doubled.
My name's Andy Jalbert. I'm from Portland, Maine, and I'm UVM 2020 grad from the Animal Science program. I'll be in veterinary school in the fall if that meets. If not, I'll be doing that online, which is, that'll come when it'll come, but I just got to keep myself busy, keep working, and I like working with dairy animals, so I can do that here, so that's pretty fun.
I am Claudia Sachs. I'm from Macungie, Pennsylvania. I graduated this past May, and I'm working on the farm for the summer. I had a couple interviews at home actually to work for this various nature centers over the summer doing environmental education, but as soon as I found out that, we would be needing help here, immediately I, kind of wrote letters to those employers saying, I'm sorry, but I need to work at this farm over the summer.
Jalbert and Sachs, both CREAM graduates, are part of a team of 7 running the farm this summer. They're being paid slightly above Vermont's minimum wage. They're helped out by the farm's manager, Matt Bodette, and Dr. Wadsworth. Other than that, it's all their call. Working here for the summer doesn't seem like a sacrifice for these two. It feels more akin to what family does for family.
When this all shut down, you can see that so many students came and asked Matt if he needed a hand, or just making sure that everyone was doing all right. So it is kind of like almost a little family of people, I guess. People don't really leave ever. I think you're always in the loop. I'm always getting texts from people I know who graduated a few years ago asking about how a certain cow, or making sure like everything's going all right.
I owe so much that I've learned about myself to the farm and the people here. I've learned, kindness and love from Dr. Wadsworth and Matt and Scott and all the advisors that we've had. And I felt as though anything that I could give back to the program, whether it's paid or unpaid, I owe it to the farm to do that.
Wadsworth has been the faculty advisor for less than a year. He's seen the value that hard work and hands-on learning instills in the students. But it's his experience as a veterinarian, for twice as long as most of his students have been alive, that proves why CREAM is invaluable.
The most important thing I think they get from this program is relationships, how to do relationships well. And there's not a job in this world that isn't predicated on good relationships. And particularly in veterinary medicine, when I'm working with dairy farmers who right now particularly are under enormous stress, if you don't have their trust and you don't interact with them with integrity and honesty and openness, and I really emphasize that in this program, that we're not just building young veterinarians, we're building young, solid people.
I think I fared the best out of this whole pandemic situation because my time here has been extended. I'm hoping to go into education. Working at a summer camp in environmental education probably would have looked really nice on a resume. I would always give up any of that to come back here.
Some of the best friends I've met at Cream. You know, I think a lot of people care about the work they're doing at the farm and they take pride in that, so they continue to care about how the farm is being taken care of.
The work of farmers doesn't stop for bad weather, a slow economy, or a global pandemic. The same goes for the CREAM program. No matter if they're students or recent graduates, CREAM always rises to the top. In Burlington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Our next segment focuses on the most popular holiday plant in the country. It's the poinsettia. Red is a traditional color, but there are now more than 100 varieties of poinsettias that come in a range of colors, including apricot, yellow, salmon, and cream. Let's join retired UVM horticulturalist Leonard Perry with some tips on how to get the most out of your holiday poinsettia.
There's nothing that really puts me in the Christmas spirit more than visiting a local greenhouse and seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of poinsettias, as we see here at Clausen's greenhouses in Colchester before the holiday season. And there's just so many different types. There's some new types in addition to the traditional red ones that you might want to consider. This is probably one of the most different. This is a rose series. It's a red and a pink rose. It actually looks kind of like a rose, very different. This is one that I've liked. It came out several years ago called Monet. A new one, a punch series. There's a sparkling and a nice punch with a little bit of white in the leaves. Traditional white. You can get just a traditional pink. One such as this, which is again a kind of different one with speckles in it. This has a lot of speckles. This is called glitter. There's an older variety called Jingle Bells. It's really nice. And then there are the types with kind of white on the edges. That's called a marble type. And there's red and white marbles. And then for one that's, if you want a really maroon color, there's this new maroon color of poinsettia. So those are just some of the range of the different types. If you can't decide, how about a tricolor mix? Several put together, or even a couple of colors, as we see in the back with the punch series, the ice punch and the sparkling punch, the red and the pink with the white in it. A couple of other things to keep in mind when you do go out and look for them. Keep in mind that these colored parts are actually modified leaves called bracts. The bits in the center, the little yellow parts, are the flowers. And that's what you want to look at, because when choosing one, you want those either not open or still very tight. If they're all the way open, that means the poinsettia is pretty old and going past, hasn't had the right care. If they're not even there, again, a good side that hasn't had the right care. So you want these little yellow buds in the center, which are the true flowers. Also, look at the foil for a couple of reasons. One is often it hides lack of leaves, or in this case, kind of one-sided. This didn't get enough light on this side. You want one that's balanced all the way around. So look for that. And also, the foil, attractive as it is, will hold water if it doesn't have a hole. Usually they don't. So when you get that home, either take the foil off, or what I do is make a small hole in the bottom, put it in a saucer to keep the water from draining onto furniture. That way you can see how much water is there. You don't want the poinsettia sitting in water. That's one of the things it doesn't like. But first, to get it home, once you've chosen one, you want to protect it from cold. They really don't like cold that we have up here. Very sensitive. That can make the flowers turn bad. So make sure if they're small in a paper bag, or this sleeve as it's called for plants, make sure it's fastened at the top. either with tape or a staple. And there's some other holiday plants you might consider, though, if you want something different or plants to last a long time. One is the cyclamen. These come in various sizes from real small to real big. This is actually a miniature cyclamen. There are ones with bigger flowers. It's a regular cyclamen. Again, purples, whites, bicolors, reds like this. This is a good stage to buy a cyclamen. You want a few flowers open, a few buds, and look underneath because you want some other flowers coming along as well, some of those buds. The cyclamen likes it cool. Poinsettia likes it warm. This likes it cooler, maybe 55 to 65, and it likes even watering. This one, too wet or too dry, leaves may drop off and turn yellow. So even watering with a cyclamen, not sitting in water but not too dry either, will keep this for the longest time. Another one that you often see in stores all over is the calancho. This is actually a succulent, meaning it's very succulent leaves, very thick. It's kind of a dry xeriscape type plant, so it really doesn't like to be overwatered. This comes in reds, oranges, yellows, purples, a lot of really bright colors. So again, a little bit on the dry side. This will last for weeks, probably, maybe 2 or 3 months even, with the flowers coming on those. So that's a great one to have, as is, if you want one, probably the longest lasting is the Christmas cactus. This is the one I've heard people say they got from their grandmother, they've had for 20 or 30 years. As it grows, gradually repotted every few years, maybe a clay pot, but this is in a hanger, but you can also put it in just a regular pot on the table, and this will bloom around Christmas. Purples, there's whites, there's reds on the Christmas cactus. So again, a cactus, so again, don't overwater this, keep it a bit on the dry side if anything, and hopefully you would get many years of bloom out of this. So, just to recap with the poinsettia, don't overwater. Keep them away from drafts, away from windows, away from wood stoves. They don't like that either. And treat as a house plant with as much light as you can give it after the holidays and fertilizer. For University of Vermont Extension, I'm Leonard Perry.
Thank you, Leonard. And once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.